All right, let's jump right in. If you're a Western B2B company looking at China, you're looking at a massive, massive opportunity. But here's the thing, it's also a place where a lot of really smart, well-funded companies go to fail. And you have to ask, why? Well, it's pretty simple. They're using the wrong playbook. So today, we're going to help you tear up that old playbook and give you a new one that actually works. So here's how we're going to break this all down. First, we'll size up the opportunity, just so we're all clear on what's at stake. Then we'll talk about the biggest hurdle, what we're calling the Great Digital Wall. And after that, it's all about the solution, understanding the local ecosystem, getting you a new playbook, and crucially, building it all on a solid legal foundation. Okay, first things first, let's talk about why we're even having this conversation. This isn't just about a nice-to-have market expansion anymore. For a lot of B2B sectors, getting China right has become absolutely non-negotiable if you want any kind of meaningful global growth. Now, this slide right here really says it all. The global B2B market, it's growing at a pretty healthy 6.7% a year. Not bad. But look at China's digital market. It's growing at a staggering 18%. That is nearly 3 times faster. It means that a huge slice of the future growth in your industry is happening right there. So what's the takeaway? It means that sitting on the sidelines isn't a neutral choice. In a market moving this fast, if you're not in the game, you are actively falling behind. Your competitors who are there, well, they're the ones snapping up all that growth. Okay, so if the opportunity is so huge, why do so many companies get it wrong? Let's get into the single biggest reason Western companies fail. And it's not for a lack of trying. It's because they're using a familiar playbook in a world that operates by a completely different set of rules. And this visual really gets to the heart of the problem. It's not about just tweaking your strategy. You pretty much have to throw it out and start over. I mean, think about it. Your entire digital toolkit, Google for search, LinkedIn for networking, your global marketing software, it's all basically useless in China. The platforms are completely different. This quote says it all, doesn't it? You can't just translate your ads and call it a day. A simple copy-paste of your strategy is absolutely doomed to fail. You have to rebuild your entire approach from the ground up for these specific local platforms. All right, so the old playbook is out. What's the new one look like? Let's dive in, because this is where it gets interesting. We're going to break down this new ecosystem and show you how to navigate it for real B2B success. Now, to even begin to succeed here, you have to get your head around this concept of private domain traffic. The best way to think about it is owning your audience instead of just renting them. You're not constantly paying platforms for access. Instead, you're building direct, deep relationships in a space that you control. And in China, that space is almost always WeChat. Think of this table as your new best friend. It's basically your strategic map. And you'll notice pretty quickly that these platforms wear a lot of different hats. Take WeChat. It's not just a messaging app, it's your CRM, it's your content platform, it's your lead nurturing tool all rolled into one. So you might use Baidu to get people's attention, then Zhihu to show them you're the expert, and then bring them into WeChat to build that relationship and guide them through to a sale. Right. I know what you might be thinking. Douyin, which is China's version of TikTok, isn't that just for B2C and viral dance videos? That's a really common mistake Western marketers make. And it's an assumption that could cost you big time. Because the data, well, it tells a very different story. I mean, the numbers speak for themselves. Campaigns on Douyin have a conversion index of 160. That is 33% higher than your standard online video ads. So yeah, if you're dismissing Douyin, you are literally leaving money on the table. It is a powerful, powerful tool for building your brand and getting leads in the door, especially the top of the funnel. Okay, so now we know the key platforms, but it's not enough to just show up. We need to talk tactics. You need a really sophisticated, localized strategy to actually win on these platforms. So your new playbook is built on these 4 pillars. First, authentic content. And I don't mean just translating your website. I mean live-streamed factory tours, Q&As with your engineers, real stuff. Second, localized marketing tech. Your tools have to talk to their tools. That means integration with WeChat and Baidu is non-negotiable. Third, niche influencers or KOLs. Forget the lifestyle bloggers. In B2B, you need credible technical experts who your audience already trust. And finally, localized lead scoring. The criteria for a good lead in China are different, so you need to score them based on things like city tier and local industry verticals. And here's why all of this really matters. At the end of the day, even in these complex B2B sales, people buy from people they like and trust.
every single touchpoint matters. A smooth, personalized journey can make all the difference, and that's where technology helps you create that positive emotional connection that builds trust and helps you close deals.
And finally, and I really cannot stress this enough, we have to talk about the bedrock, the foundation your entire strategy has to be built on: legal compliance. This is not an afterthought. This is step 0. So, before you do anything, you have to get your head around China's data security laws. We're talking about a triad here: the cybersecurity law, or CSL, the data security law, DSL, and especially the personal information protection law, which is known as PIPL. And these are not to be taken lightly. And here is the absolute crucial point. There's no B2B exemption. That means the data from a business card you collect at a trade show is governed by the exact same strict rules as sensitive consumer data. You simply cannot assume your global policies are good enough. They're not. Now, this one is a really big deal. You can't just store your Chinese customer data on your servers back in Europe or the US. To legally move any personal data out of China, you have to get approval from the Cyberspace Administration of China, and you have to do it in one of these 3 specific ways. It's a major hurdle you have to plan for from day one. This checklist is a great place to start, but let's be crystal clear. PIPL compliance isn't a one-and-done task. It's an ongoing process. You have to have a plan for local data storage, you need a local representative, even if you don't have an office there, and you have to be completely transparent with people about how their data is being handled. And you have to do all of this before you launch a single campaign.
So after all of this, what's the one thing to take away? Success in China isn't about just adapting your global strategy. It's about a complete, foundational reconstruction of how you do business, from the platforms you use to the way you talk to customers, all the way down to the legal framework you build it on. The real question isn't whether you can afford to do all this right, it's whether you can afford not to.